All right, good morning. All this meeting is called to order. Mr. Truman, has anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, sir.
Right. On agenda item 3. Oh, we have no cases to reconsider under agenda item 3. Is that right?
That's correct. No cases.
Under agenda item 4, tax liability cases.
No cases.
Nothing on agenda item 5, nothing on agenda item 6. Under agenda item 7, we have no wage claim cases pulled for additional discussion.
Yes, sir. No pulled case for wage claims, docket 21. You should have received the short form dissent list for wage claims, docket 21.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining wage claim cases on docket 21.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting as reflected on wage claim short form dissent list for docket 21.
I concur on the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I'm dissenting is reflected in wage claim short form dissent list for docket 21.
Motion passes with the exceptions that are noted. We'll move to agenda item 8, consideration of unemployment insurance cases on docket 21. Please proceed when you're ready.
Case number 3111653, Commissioner Esparza.
The AT decision is not supportable. The evidence makes it clear that the employer filed late responses and appeals due to misinformation concerning chargeback issues during the pandemic and the problems receiving mail during the pandemic and its aftermath. There is substantial evidence that on the merits, the employer is entitled to chargeback protection due to the claimant quitting for personal reasons. We should find that the employer had good cause to miss each appeal hearing, and that its late chargeback notice response, late appeal, and late Rule 16 request should be held timely due to misinformation and problems receiving mail, and the case should be resubmitted on merits of the chargeback issue.
The decision should be modified. Regarding the good cause issues, the employer failed to appear for multiple AT hearings. Hearing notices were correctly sent to the employer, notifying them on how to appear for the AT4 hearing and the AT3 continuance, but they failed to appear at either hearing to offer good cause testimony and provided no good cause explanation to their appeal to the commission. Therefore, the employer has not established good cause for missing AT4 and continuance of AT3. Regarding the petition to reopen from the AT1 decision, the decision was mailed to the employer's correct address, and the employer failed to file a timely petition to reopen. Since the employer failed to appear at AT4 and the AT3 continuance hearing to provide testimony on the timeliness issue, the employer's petition to reopen from AT1 was properly dismissed as late. Modify the AT, employer failed to establish good cause for missing AT4 and AT3 continuance. Employer had good cause for missing AT2, late petition to reopen, late employer appeal, late employer response to notice of maximum potential chargeback. Employer's account remains charged.
No good cause for AT4 or AT3, good cause for AT2, late petition to reopen, late appeal, late response to NMPC chargeback.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3178724, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not correct. The employer discharged the claimant for allegedly failing to complete a random drug screening. The complainant provided sworn firsthand testimony that he still arrived at the testing facility well before the 2-hour window given to him by his employer to take the test. The claimant's testimony was corroborated by 2 other credible witnesses. The employer failed to present any direct evidence to establish when the claimant arrived at the drug testing facility, or that the claimant failed to complete a drug screening within the time window provided to him. Therefore, the employer has failed to meet its burden of establishing that the claimant was discharged for misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, no overpayment.
The AT decision should be affirmed. The claimant was fired for not complying with the employer's drug testing procedures. The employer stated that no one instructed the claimant to make deliveries before going to the drug testing site. Despite this, the claimant made deliveries during his drug testing window. As a result, the claimant failed to take the drug test. Accordingly, the claimant's actions constituted work-connected misconduct. We should affirm the AT decision, misconduct, overpayment.
No misconduct, no overpayment.
Short form dissent.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3229040, Commissioner Trevino.
AT decision should be modified. The claimant had good cause for missing AT1, as a hearing was not scheduled for over a year after the claimant filed their appeal. Additionally, while I do not contest that the claimant received benefits to which she was not entitled due to her failure to timely submit her proof of employment documentation, the claimant was dealing with a serious personal medical issue at the time and submitted the required documentation a few months later. The claimant also stopped filing payment requests soon after receiving the request to provide proof of employment. Therefore, the repayment and the overpayment would be contrary to equity and good conscience, such as the waiver should be granted. Modify the AT, claimant established good cause for AT1, ineligible for PUA benefits beginning 1/24/21, overpayment, grant waiver.
The AT decision should be modified. The passage of time between the claimant's first appeal and the appeal hearing, taken together with the non-receipt of the hearing notice due to an address change, gave her good cause to miss the hearing. Good cause. Concerning the PUA benefit eligibility issue, the claimant failed to submit the required employment documentation within the required period, did not explain why that problem occurred. She did receive an overpayment of PUA benefits. Since the overpayment arose as the result of a factor within the claimant's control, the waiver of overpayment is not justified. Accordingly, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant had good cause to miss the first hearing. She was ineligible for PUA benefits, overpayment of $3,726, deny a waiver of the overpayment.
Rehear to develop the record on if the claimant provided proof of employment prior to filing her PUA claim.
We have not achieved a majority vote.
Ma'am, I'll agree with the chair.
Yes, sir. We will rehear the case.
Case number 3421961, Chairman Daniel.
Modify the AT, grant motion for rehearing. Rehear is a companion case with case number 3925064 for merits of underlying earnings adjustment.
Based on the OGC memo associated with CA 3507274 on docket 11 in a similar case, our general counsel office advised that in order to afford due process in the case involving an overpayment of FPUC benefits, the claimant needs to have an opportunity for an appeal hearing. Appeals Department records indicate that such a hearing has been scheduled for the claimant for today, May 20th of 2025. Once a decision from that hearing has become available, this case should be resubmitted with further analysis of the overpayment issue and other issues in the case.
Ma'am, I'll agree with the chair.
We have a majority vote of grant MR and rehear on the earnings adjustment issue.
Case number 3625585, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision should be modified. I agree that the claimant established good cause for his failure to appear at AT2. While I do not contest that the claimant did not establish good cause for his failure to appear at AT1, the claimant's timely petition to reopen also constituted a timely appeal to the commission of the first AT decision. Regarding the job separation, the claimant's continued claim involved his work for a marketplace contractor in self-employment. As such, there was no separation from employment, and the continued claim should be voided. Modify the AT, claimant established good cause for missing AT2. Claimant did not establish good cause for missing AT1. Set aside the AT decision. Void the continued claim.
The AT decision should be modified. Regarding the claimant's non-appearance at AT2, the claimant was prevented from appearing due to circumstances beyond his control. However, regarding the claimant's non-appearance at AT1, the claimant did not have good cause for his non-appearance because he misread the hearing notice. As to the underlying job separation, the claimant voluntarily quit for personal reasons due to car trouble. This does not constitute good cause connected with the work enabling him to quit. Accordingly, we should modify the AT decision. The claimant had good cause for his non-appearance at AT2. The claimant did not have good cause for his non-appearance at AT1, voluntary leaving overpayment.
We should grant good cause and resubmit because the claimant's work as a gig driver was likely not in employment. Thus, there was no separation. Good cause for AT1 and AT2 resubmit.
We have not achieved a majority.
Ma'am, I'll agree with the chair.
We will resubmit the case.
Thank you.
Case number 3672-972, Commissioner Esparza.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant resigned citing work-related stress. When the claimant advised the employer about the need for additional help, the employer proactively instructed the claimant to consult with an experienced coworker. Nevertheless, the claimant became unsatisfied with the coworker's assistance. Instead of allowing the employer the additional measures to remedy her needs, she quit. Finally, although the claimant alleged medical concerns, in the absence of medical advice recommending her to quit, the claimant's separation should be considered voluntary and without good cause connected with the work. As such, we should modify the AT. We should affirm, as such, we should affirm the AT decision of voluntary leaving.
The decision is not supportable. The claimant quit when the employer substantially increased her workload after she complained about workplace stress. Although the complainant was the most junior client relationship coordinator, her workload was increased to 50% more than her most senior colleague. Despite this, the claimant kept working to the best of her ability and made multiple attempts to receive additional training and assistance to succeed in her position. However, all her complaints and requests for help went ignored, and the stress of the job started to have serious consequences on the claimant's health. Therefore, the claimant established that she had good cause connected with the work to resign. Reverse the AT, no voluntary leaving.
Voluntary leaving.
Short form dissent. ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3720-663, Commissioner Trevino.
The decision is not supportable. The employer discharged the claimant for using some casual language when talking to a customer about gas prices in their respective locations. The employer considered the claimant's language to violate their anti-profanity policy. However, the claimant's language was in no way intended to be profane and was not directed toward anyone and did not result in the customer complaining. Additionally, the claimant had no prior warnings and the employer's policy did not list prohibited words. While the common sense would indicate or dictate that some words or phrases are clearly profane, the claimant's language at most fell into the gray area that should have at least required a warning that the language was unacceptable before moving immediately to discharge. Therefore, it was not shown that the claimant's actions rose to the level of misconduct connected with the work. Reverse the AT, no misconduct, chargeback.
We should affirm the AT decision. The facts aren't in dispute. The claimant used profanity during a call with the customer in violation of the employer's zero tolerance policy. Because the claimant mismanaged her position in employment, we should affirm the AT decision, misconduct, no chargeback.
Misconduct, no chargeback.
Short form dissent, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Case number 3794-772, Commissioner Trevino.
The AT decision is not supportable. The claimant received the determination and attempted to file a timely appeal online, which was one of the approved methods communicated to her by the commission. The complainant was unable to submit her appeal online, so she contacted the commission several times on 7/11/24, which was clearly within the appeal timeframe, and was told that she would be contacted once her access was established and not to attempt to access her online account until the issue was resolved. She was not informed that she would file an appeal by other methods while she was waiting. Since the claimant's appeal was delayed due to failure of the commission representative to clarify that the claimant should file an appeal by another method while waiting for access to her online account, the claimant's appeal should be deemed timely and the case resubmitted for merits testimony. Reverse the AT, timely claim and appeal, resubmit.
We should affirm the AT decision. The claimant filed a late appeal. While she may have had trouble appealing online, she could have filed a timely appeal using any other acceptable methods noted on the determination. Because the appeal is late, there's no good cause exception to the timeliness rules. We should affirm the AT decision. The late claimant appeal, voluntary leaving, no chargeback.
Timely appeal, resubmit.
We will resubmit the case. That was the last case pulled for additional discussion for docket 21. You should have received the short from dissent list for UI docket 21.
I move we accept staff recommendations on the remaining UI cases on docket 21.
I second the motion except for those cases which I am dissenting, as reflected on UI short form dissent list for docket 21.
I concur with the chairman's motion, except for the cases on which I am dissenting is reflected in UI short form dissent list for docket 21.
Motion passes with the exceptions noted. This brings us to the end of agenda items 1 through 8. We'll take a short recess. Year 2026 WEO allocations, rapid response distributions, and AEL allocations. Handouts.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Cerna. For the record, Chris Nelson, Chief Financial Officer. This morning, I have just provided you with an updated allocation packet for your consideration. On Friday, after TWC published its allocation packet using WEOA planning estimate amounts provided by the Department of Labor, they issued the official allotments to the state of Texas. The allocations were recalculated with the official allotment amounts for the WEO adult and youth programs to meet the 85% allocation requirements as set forth in TWC rule, which includes a $4,169 increase in WEO adult and a $554,442 reduction in youth from the schedules previously provided to you. Staff did not recalculate the WEOA dislocated worker allocation as the amount change was minimal and TWC allocates more than the required 60% to the workforce development boards. Overall, this is about a 10% reduction for the state's allotment from 2025. Also included is a rapid response distribution for boards out of the dislocated worker funds. These are for grant agreements that will go into effect July 1st, 2025. Also included in your packet is a PY25 FY26 allocation for the adult education program. As of today, TWC has not received an allotment for the adult education program, nor has it received a planning estimate. For that reason, staff are bringing forward an allocation for commission consideration that includes 100% of the $9.5 million of state general revenue appropriated to the AEL program and 100% of the $5.8 million of the appropriated TANF funds appropriated to the adult ed program. But staff are only recommending to allocate at this time 50% of that PY24 FY25 federal funds until TWC receives an official allotment from the Department of Education. At that time, TWC will recalculate the full allocation and bring that before the commission for approval. Also included in your packet is a distribution of 50% of the PY24 FY25 integrated English literacy and civics education funds that is distributed at the same proportion to providers that responded to the procurement that went into effect last July. all of these funds will go into effect July 1st, 2025. That concludes my comments, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Comments or questions?
None here.
I do. Okay. Chris, thank you so much for your briefing. Just to kind of clarify, we're hoping to help the boards out because again, it's a it's a reduction, so it's a tough pill to swallow. But I appreciate that we didn't sit and wait on we used estimates.
Right.
Please go over again. Are the estimates that we were briefed on, let's say last week or the week before? Are these the hard numbers that we're?
So these are yes,
So
the
it's what-
WIOA adult dislocated youth are the hard numbers. So we got the official allotment to all states got their official allotment Friday morning after we had kind of finished our last briefing using the planning estimate numbers we had received from the Department of Labor sometime before. So whether maybe it was just they saw this on the commission agenda and decided, well, we might as well release the official numbers. So, but yes, these are the hard official numbers for the state of Texas.
Okay, good timing. At least we're not going into the beginning of summer. I know a lot of boards they're putting their plans into action. So I know some of the funding that they're spending is building leases and et cetera. Are we able to provide and how each of the 10% whole reduction was knocked into each of the 28 different boards at a certain algorithm that
So the states
we agreed to.
So the
we
state's
voted on.
overall allotment was reduced by approximately 10% for each program.
Okay.
That is largely driven by the funding amount, which isn't too much different than the prior year, but also the change in factor. So for adult and youth, we use the exact same factors that the Department of Labor uses when it kind of disperses funds to all states. And that is on adult and youth, there's 3 parts to each, and they're somewhat similar. And they're 33.33% each. Disadvantaged adult or youth, and then areas of excess unemployment and areas of substantial unemployment. So those 3 factors dictate how much each state gets. And then when we get the funding, that's what by county level dictates how much each board area gets. And so what you saw at the national level with the factor data is Texas' proportionate share of all those factors is gone down relative to everybody else. And relative is the key term because you can see an increase in the raw factor data.
Yeah.
But if other states have a much higher increase, and so for the boards, if ever counties, so you can have your area see an increase in raw factor, but if other counties see increases, your relative change may be actually less than theirs. So
I did notice in a lot of different board areas or MSAs that, for instance, the Permian Basin is going to take about an 18% hit, whereas the capital area, and I'm specifically talking about the dislocated worker program, places like the capital area are increased at 0.3. I definitely want to recommend. I want to continue learning about how the factors and numbers came to play, what boards in different parts of the state can do. I would encourage any boards also, if they have any questions, I'd like to be available for any of those visits if they contact us or if they contact you to ask about how everything was factored in. I appreciate getting a heads up so we can be in on that too.
And we do get questions time to time for boards on the background behind it. Couple things that also play into this is there is a hold harmless and then a stop gain provision. So it's basically, I think it's 80%. Every board should get at least 80% of what they got before. So if any board with the raw factor data is below that, there's a reallocation that brings them up. But of course you have to take that from from the other areas. And it just keeps running through that until every board is at the hold harmless provision or the stop gain. So that if one area got way too much, it reallocates that until everybody's within the hold harmless stop gain.
Okay.
So, and I think Permian Basin is one of those areas that was affected by that.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you clarifying on that. No further questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we adopt the program year 2025, fiscal year 2026 allocations and distributions for the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, Adult Education and Literacy, and Rapid Response Programs as recommended today by staff.
I second.
Been moved and seconded, the motion carries.
Thank you.
So agenda item 10, local workforce development board nominees.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Serna. For the record, Patricia Martinez, Workforce Development Division. Today I have for your consideration the Workforce Board nomination for Workforce Solutions Golden Crescent. Staff recommends approval on the presented nominee, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
Is there a motion?
Chairman, I move that we approve the local workforce development board member nominee presented today for Workforce Solutions Golden Crescent.
I second.
It's been moved and seconded, motion carries. Thank you. Legislative report.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Serna, for the record, Michael Britt, Governmental Relations. This week, TWC is providing resource witness testimony for a couple of legislative hearings. This morning, we had Mary York available as a resource witness in the Senate Committee on Education, K through 16 on House Bill 322 by Representative Guillen, which relates to the use of funds awarded under the JET program. This afternoon, Allison Wilson will serve as a resource witness in the Senate Committee on Health and Human Services on House Bill 4903 by Representative Harris Davila, which relates to the establishment of the Quad Agency Child Care Initiative. Also yesterday, the Texas Senate passed 3 TWC legislative proposals. House Bill 3698 by Representative Vo, which is TWC's legislative proposal related to RESEA. House Bill 3699, also by Representative Vo, which is TWC's legislative proposal related to modifying the definition of last work. And House Bill 3700 by Representative Vo, which is TWC's legislative proposal related to establishing fraud, waste, and abuse detection and prevention for all TWC programs. These 3 bills will now be sent to the governor for his consideration. Yesterday, Governor Abbott also signed into law Senate Bill 765, which is TWC's legislative proposal related to the confidentiality of fraud detection and prevention methods. And just as a reminder, the 89th legislative session will conclude on Monday, June 2nd. This concludes my remarks. Happy to answer any questions.
Any comments or questions?
None here.
No questions.
A lot of chatter yesterday around the Capitol about your wardrobe, about some of your sartorial choices.
Yes, sir.
And whether or not you had modeled that off of certain executive staff here at TWC. I'm pleased to see that you've almost identically copied the look of Mr. Serna and Mr. Townsend today, given all the chatter I heard yesterday. I think that was a wise sartorial choice.
Yes, sir. I thought that was an appropriate choice myself.
Wonderful. Any other comments or questions? None?
No.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
An executive director's report.
After that, there's nothing for me to report. We do have a star award to present to 3 of our employees in IT, Matt Duffy, Joseph Leadley, and Thomas Beckley. And I think that Jerry White, our HR directors, he nominated these individuals. We'll be laying that out.
Thank you. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Serna. For the record, I'm Jerry White, Director of Human Resources here at TWC. I'm here today as a nominator of 3 deserving recipients for this quarter's Star Awards. The Star Award program recognizes employees for significant contributions that go beyond their day-to-day responsibilities and help foster a culture of continuous improvement here at TWC. Today's nominees are Matt Duffy, Joseph Ledley, and Thomas Beckley, the 3 members of the agency's artificial intelligence team. They are being recognized today not only for rolling out AI, an exciting technology that's a rage worldwide, but for how they did it. And that's a process that's been based in good old-fashioned customer service. They've taken time learning their customers' process constraints, guiding discussions about how AI can help alleviate them, implementing some fantastic new tools, gathering metrics on how those tools' effectiveness really work, and then moving on to a long list of other projects. Their work has made it easier to analyze legislation and access questions about many HR topics and streamline computer coding. They have been great ambassadors for this technology by showing our employees how they can be used to augment the work of our teams. They're even working on a tool that creates a podcast on big, difficult to understand topics. I heard a 9-minute version of our personnel manual last week. Our personnel manual takes a little longer than 9 minutes to go through, and they have these people talking enthusiastically about it, which is just a delightful change from what I typically hear. So that's great. They've done it all in a way ensuring that all of our agency data is secure and protected. Their efforts are an investment with rewards for all of us. Matt, Joseph, and Thomas went above and beyond, and their innovative approach has made a significant impact on the agency, empowering staff to work smarter, faster, and with greater efficiency. Please join me in congratulating them for this well-earned award.
So these tools are transformative here at TWC and will continue to be so. I appreciate all the effort that goes in. I mean, this is difficult work, and the government presents challenges for using artificial intelligence. I appreciate in your whole presentation you didn't say the word Skynet one time. So I feel like these guys are developing good tools, and Commissioner Sparks and I were just discussing during your presentation, this is going to make him a better podcaster because of this competition that he now has from the computer here within. Thanks, Jerry, for coming today and bringing this to us.
Very good. Thank you.
Job well.
All right, Mr. Cerna, any other business?
No, sir, no other business.
Commissioners, any other business come for the commission?
No.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Chairman, I move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved second to adjourn. We're adjourned.